Hey friends, Julie here and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to share with you 4 Dollar Tree DIYs that are inspired by the Pioneer Woman line. Now these are not necessarily dupes because they're not exactly the same. Like I didn't totally copy them the same, but they were inspired by her line. Now I am also taking part in Heidi Sambel's DIY challenge that she hosts every single month. And I will have a link down below in my description box to a playlist, so be sure to check it out after you finish my video. Now, if you enjoy decorating, organizing, and DIY projects, you're going to want to make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now let's get to crafting. For the first DIY, you're going to need one of these baskets from the Dollar Tree, some ribbon of your choice, this is also from the Dollar Tree, and some yellow paint. Now originally I was planning on using this yellow spray paint that I found in my garage, but as I tried to spray it, nothing came out but little drizzles, and I tried to unplug it, I tried everything, could not figure it out. So I'm going to use this bright yellow from Appleberry that my daughter actually had in her room, and I thought this would be a horrible idea to have to brush it, but it actually was pretty fast, and it only took one coat, so it was super easy to just use some yellow craft paint and cover this basket. I covered the whole inside and the outside. And here it is all dry. You could see it is a nice bright yellow. And then I'm just going to take this red ribbon. Now you could use any ribbon. You could even use fabric if you had fabric. The Pioneer Woman inspired one actually has like flowered fabric that runs around the top, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using what I had on hand, and I have this red ribbon. Now there is kind of a back, you can kind of see here where the wire overlaps. I'm using that to be the back, where I'm going to have the seam from the ribbon that won't show because it'll be facing the back. And I'm just going to hot glue it onto the metal. Now to decorate this, I am just going to use this red and white dish towel that I have, and I'm going to lay this in the basket. The reds actually match perfectly, and then I'm going to just take a white floral, you could use anything that you want, and some greenery. I think the green and the white with the yellow and the red really pops, and I just think it's such a cute little display. And here it is finished. And this project cost $2. Now for the next one, I'm going to use a wired wastebasket from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a couple of paints, a red and a kind of like a turquoisey blue. You're going to need some wire cutters. I'm going to use this welcome sign from the Dollar Tree, this frame from the Dollar Tree. You could use any frame. This is just a frame I have on hand. Some hot glue and some Gorilla Glue. So to begin, I'm just going to remove the backing of this frame because I will not need it. Now this is actually a really cute board, so I'm going to keep it for a future DIY. And then I am just going to give the frame a coat of the red paint. Now this took probably 3 or 4 coats to cover the black completely. Next, I'm going to paint this metal welcome sign with the blue color, and again, that took a few coats to get complete coverage. Next, I am going to cut the wire from this wastebasket and use it as chicken wire. This was actually pretty easy to cut. I believe that these floral shears are actually from the Dollar Tree, but that's what I'm just using is some flower cutters because it cuts through the metal wire in the fake flowers. And I'm going to definitely keep the other wire because I'm sure I'll use it for another project. Now I'm going to stretch out the bottom a little bit because the wire is kind of shaped like the basket. And I'm just going to roll it the other way. I'm going to do everything I can to try to flatten this out and make it look even from top to bottom, like all the gaps and the holes and stuff. Now I do want to tell you, you should probably wear gloves because I didn't even realize it until later that I had cut myself in a couple of spots. Now I'm just going to use the back of the frame to trace onto this wire so that I can cut it out so that it will fit in the back of the frame properly. Next, I am just going to hot glue the wire into the back of the frame. Now I want to add some flowers to the corners of this frame, and I'm going to use this canvas Wild and Free that is left over from a DIY project that I had previously done, and I'm going to cut out a couple of the flowers on here. You could also use some silk flowers. You could print some out on cardstock if you needed to and just cut those out. Whatever you have would totally work for this project. Next, I am just going to assemble everything and lay out the flowers where I want them and figure out how I want my welcome sign to look. Now for the next DIY, I am going to be using this glass jar that I picked up from the Dollar Tree a while ago, and I'm going to remove this silver ribbon because it's definitely not going to go with this project. I'm also going to be using just some florals that I have on hand. I'm particularly looking for florals that match the Pioneer Woman colors. I'm going to be using some food coloring. You can also use gel if you have the gel food coloring, and some glue with some water. So to begin, I am actually just going to be using this glue jar because there's not a ton of glue left in it to shake up the water and the food coloring. I'm basically going to be tinting the glass yellow. Now you could use any color that you want. I just happen to choose the yellow out of my cupboard. And after I add a little bit of water into the glue and some food coloring, I'm going to shake it up really well. Now I am not going to be waiting for mine to air dry, which you could do if you wanted to. So because I'm going to be sticking this glass in the oven, I want to make sure I remove the sticker off the bottom. And now I am just going to actually just pour the mixture of water, food coloring, and glue into my glass container and spin it around to get complete coverage on the inside. This does take a little bit of patience because different parts of it start dripping in different ways and you're trying to get the whole thing covered, but After a couple minutes, you can get the whole thing covered just the way you like it. You can kind of see here the consistency that you want. You want it to be pretty runny. If it's too thick like glue, you need to add more water because it's not going to coat very, very well. Now I even want the rim, I want the whole thing to be coated in the yellow, so I am trying to make sure that every little piece of the rim gets coated. And then I'm just going to let it sit for just a few minutes to try to get a little bit of the glue mixture out. Then I'm going to stick it on a pan with some parchment paper, put it in the oven at 200 degrees for roughly 15 minutes. Now, if this was a smaller container, it might only take like 10. I'm not really sure. You're just trying to dry it. And this is how it looks when it's done. It is see-through, like stained glass kind of. And I just put some flowers in it. So for the next DIY, I'm going to be using this frame because I already had it, but any frame from the Dollar Tree would work. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree candle holder that I had from a previous project. It is painted in chalk white paint, and 2 pieces of the Jenga blocks from the game. And I'm also going to be using the blessed word from this wall cling that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and another one of the Wild and Free canvas wall hangings also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to just be using the bottom section. You're also going to need some red paint or whatever paint you choose, but I'm going to be using this same red so that it all kind of matches. And I'm going to give everything a good coat or 2 of the red paint. So basically I'm painting the frame, the 2 Jenga block pieces, and the candle holder. I am going to use the glass from the frame so that I can trace out what part of the canvas I want to use in my frame. And then I'm going to take the blessed wall cling and I'm going to stick it in the center of this piece of canvas. And now that everything is dry and I have the blessed canvas piece inside of the frame, I'm going to take the 2 Jenga blocks and I'm going to hot glue them onto the front and the back of the frame. This is to give it support, and it's also to help cover the hole, the opening in the candlestick holder. Now you do want to make sure that the Jenga block is lined up perfectly flat and even with the bottom of the frame, or otherwise it's really not giving it any support. And then once that is completely dry, I'm going to use the Gorilla Glue to glue the frame onto the candlestick, just because I want it to be permanent and more stable. I've noticed that the whole reason I'm reusing this candlestick is that when I glue with hot glue onto glass or metal, sometimes it just doesn't stick well. It's not as secure. So I'm going to use the Gorilla Glue, and you do want to let that dry for like 12 hours before you move it around, and it'll be pretty secure and you won't have to worry about it falling apart. And here is this DIY all finished. I absolutely love this one. I think this one's super cute. And here are all 4 of them. Please let me know down in the comments which ones did you like, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe so that we can stay in touch and you can see any future videos that I might have. I really appreciate you guys watching. Have a blessed day. Bye.